Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Football World by Ace Podcast Nation. And yet again, Man United have sacked their manager. Rubin Amorim has been sacked. And I thought, rather than do a video on my own about it, I thought, who better to talk about it than Mr. Rhodri Giggs? How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Good Christmas?
Yeah, not too bad. Quiet. It's weird when the kids grow up, mate, and they do their own thing, innit?
Yeah, sure. Still on Christmas mode, but yeah, we're good to go.
Good to go, mate. And I think we're going to get this rolling now over 2026. It's going to be a lot of content, a lot of different channels, a lot of stuff to talk about. And as usual, the gift that keeps giving when it comes to things to talk about, mate, is your club, Man United. Rubin Amorim went. There was clearly an issue you could see from the pre-Leeds press conference and the post-press conference, because he's been quite open and he's been pretty good in the media generally. He's probably a bit too honest at times. But there was clearly an issue. He came in on the pre-Leeds presser. He had a face like a slapped ass, didn't look happy, and kind of dodged a couple of questions, which he'd never done. And then in the post-match press conference, when there wasn't really any issues, like it was a decent enough performance considering the players out and all that, he again kind of went off a little bit and then he was gone. I think once you start challenging your bosses, it usually only goes one way. But it's another project, mate, which they haven't, or United as a club haven't seen through to the duration. How do you feel about it? Because I know I saw on social media before you had said like they won't sack him because they want to see it out.
Well, I'm just going off what the owner said a couple months ago. Yeah, young Rubin's got a 3-year contract. It's clearly not a 3-year contract because it's a 14-month one. Yes, the results haven't been great, but where we are in the league and what he had to take over and what he had to get rid of and what he still had to get rid of and bring in, it's just a shambles, absolute shambles. Just laughing stock. Now what you'll see is they'll turn on them.
Yeah.
Wilcox, Barada, Darren Fletcher, who's assistant, has been sacked from Manchester City under 14. He's been sacked from Southport, but he'll be in the dugout with Darren Fletcher at one of the biggest clubs in the world. So, yeah. The aim will be on the Glazers, Ineos, another City reject, Jason Wilcox, who come from, where did he come from? Southampton.
Yeah.
Omar Barada. They've sacked down Ashcroft after giving him money. Yeah, so it's definitely going to turn on them now.
And the thing which strikes me with it, there's a couple of things, is one, they asked him to come halfway through last season. He didn't want him. He wanted to come in the summer. So if you take out of, I know you can't, but if you take out last season and you just go on this season being his first sort of full season, he's had a couple of signings. He's doing all right. And there's definite improvements, I think, to the way the team's playing and they look like they're fighting. They haven't down tools or anything like that. And then the other element of it,
on social media, almost every player has thanked him and wished him well on social media, apart from the bitter ones like Kobe Manu, who are entitled, probably like Rashford, but yeah.
Garnacho liking the sack post as well, but Jesus Christ. But then on the other hand of it, mate, right, is you brought in a 3-4-3 manager, which, all right, goes against the sort of historic thing of United, although I argue that it doesn't because Busby used to play 3 at the back, but anyway. The point being, it kind of goes against the modern history of the club. But you sign a 3-4-3 manager and then don't sign him any wing backs. And you don't sign him in midfield, which is the whole, like the basis of that system. And then wonder why it isn't working or hasn't worked as quickly as you would like to work.
Well,
to me,
go on.
I was just going to say, to me, I don't think he's been sacked because of the results. I think he's been sacked because he's fallen out with Jason Wilcox and, Barada and Jim Ratcliffe have basically had to pick a side and they've gone with Wilcox, essentially.
If anyone told Sir Alex Ferguson how to play, they'd have been booted out of their office. Booted. He's been brought in to sort a mess out. You remember the video, Ralph Radnich? This club needs heart open surgery. It is not a quick fix. Maybe 1, 2 years, not 3, 4, 5 years, but 1, 2. They now have put that back. You've got people shoving their noses in. Gary Neville, video of about when Ten Hag was in, how he should play 5 at the back, 3 at the back, have wing backs. But that's the problem with his system. They're just hypocrites everywhere. I'm watching a podcast with Nicky Butt yesterday saying Steve Bruce just been fired from Blackpool, being bottom of the league. It's just a shambles. Roy Keane, job for the boys. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's coming in. He's going to have a look. He's going to have a go again. Bring our kid back. Bring Giggsy back to the end of the season. That'll do it.
I think, like, there's lots of moving parts to it, and there's lots of elements to it. I think when you look at the results in just a pure results data point of view, it's probably not been, well, it hasn't been good enough. You know, you lost to Grimsby. The final to Spurs, I think, was the one which was probably the most.
The Everton and the, sorry to interrupt, the Everton and the Wolves was
they were poor. And I think
he's the only manager to beat Manchester City, the only manager to beat
Liverpool
at Anfield. So, yeah, but not.
But then I suppose what is poor, what I think is probably a bit didn't help him is when he did switch to a back 4, United did look better. And I don't think there's any denying that. However, even when he went to a back 4, it was still quite a fluid thing where they were switching to 3 at the back. And I don't know.
How many players they had out against Newcastle? Never seen that back against the wall at Old Trafford, but they got the result. But look at the players they got out. Look at the players they've still got there. Dalot, Luke Shaw, just terrible. And they've had 4 or 5 managers sacked now. So, you know, the Leeds game, I was looking at him thinking, heaven, you need to come across there. But Dalot losing the ball again, a silly, stupid pass. One pass and they're in on goal. It's just, but that was his problem of not being able to adapt. You know, we've took over at Flixton, had to start the whole thing from scratch. We had trials in the summer, and we played 3-5-2, and we were just leaking goals. You know, we've got to go back to a 4. We went to a 4, and we've never looked back. So it can work, but it's just yeah.
In order for it to work,
it just has to be adaptable. You can't be predictable. Yes, you have a philosophy, you have a system, and you have a pressing and all that. I understand all that. But sometimes in game, you have to be able to adapt. And it seems that was his Achilles heel for me. And it's ended up costing him.
It's strange because I think when he adapted, like tactically, I thought they were the games where he actually did quite well. So against Liverpool, he adapted and played a false 9, and they played really well. Against Newcastle, he adapted in the first half, and they took Newcastle by surprise. I think it was the Villa game as well. Like when he's adapted, he's done it well, but he was also very clear all along is that I won't adapt until the players understand the basics of what I want to do. And I wonder whether, you know, of late we've started to see slight adaptations because he felt that the players started to understand what he wanted. He obviously had to change the dressing room as well. I think people forget that. And I think United now, whilst it's a mess now, don't get me wrong, it's a shambles and whatnot. You know, once they get a new manager in and it settles down, that dressing room is 100 times better than it was when Rubin Amorim came in. 100 times better. Now, of course, you ask Kobe Mainu or some others, maybe they would say different. But
the entitled ones, you mean?
Well, this is it, isn't it?
Like really done much in the game, or they played in the World Cup final. How did that final go?
True. And I think it'll be interesting, mate, because I know, like, for instance, with Darren Fletcher, he plays a 4-3-3 in the under-18s, and look, his record with the under-18s has been superb. They didn't concede a goal for ages, and it'll be interesting.
They've got a very good team, mate.
Of course they have, but they've got a very young team as well. Like they're not like they're the younger end of under-18s. It's,
I hope he's ready, because one bad performance or one which these players can give you, he'll be the next one.
Do you think he'll go with? Like he'll go with 4-3-3, I would imagine. But do you think he'll go with the experienced players?
He's a yes man, of course he will.
But do you think he goes with the experienced players, or do you think we see, one of his boys, or we see, Obi come in, or one of the youngsters? There's a few youngsters who've been knocking on the door.
If he throws one of his boys in there, then
they better have a good game, innit?
They're not ready, mate. They're not ready. They're very good players, but they're not ready. You could bring them into a Ferguson team who you get very good experienced pros will get them through it, will bring them through it. You can't do it with some of the.
No, I agree. And I think, if you look at the team, like you've got the most football you've had out of Luke Shaw this season, and God knows how much. And he's had one or two games where he hasn't been good, but.
Well, he sets falling apart. What's going on?
On the whole, Luke Shaw's had a really good season, and he's been available. So that's an improvement which Amorim made. You've had Aiden Heaven come in and at 18 and look like a real player. I think Mbumo come in, did all right. I think he went off the boil a little bit, and you wonder now those players who signed for him in the summer with a plan, how will they feel? Like, will they be? Asking questions of like, what have I walked into here? Because I've signed for one manager and now I'm under the under-18s manager. So it's a bit difficult, I think.
It's not easy with all these ex-pros as well. They just don't help. They've got such egos, and it is one. Poor Scholes tears into Louis Van Gaal's style of plays. Everyone's bored. Even Van Gaal's bored. Poor Scholes rant Ten Hag must leave. There is no hope of improvement. Ollie has been there for 3 years now, and we've come here today and not really knowing how he's going to do it. That makes the recruitment almost impossible because you're not buying players for a system. Look at Pep. He'll buy players for a system. Paul Scholes, Jose Mourinho is embarrassing. Man United, and he's lucky to remain at the job. United slumps. So everyone here is just hammered. And Paul Scholes took over Salford for a few days, for a few weeks, was crap. Took over Oldham last, 2 months. So... yes, they're great players, but they're terrible coaches. So, maybe like I said before, Steve Bruce, bring back Roy Keane. He'll sort that dressing room out.
Amorim, in his last press conference as United manager, name-checked Gary Neville, and he said, if the club can't take the criticism and the pressure from Gary Neville and pundits, then they need to change the way the club thinks, not bend to what the pundits are saying.
Gary Neville.
I found that quite interesting because I reckon Gary Neville's got Jim Ratcliffe's ear, you see, because they're doing the...
Of course he has, but it's selective. I will not criticise Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I will not criticise. Well, but you will at Rubin Amorim because it's your job. It's just everyone's got their fingers in or they're hearing someone, and he's got a lot to answer for. A lot to answer for. Oh, I've been supportive in the last few weeks. All right, great. He's just acid. Great commentator, great player, but terrible coach, terrible owner, which I've posted on Twitter. Terrible owner. They were Wrexham, Stockport, Salford were all in the same position. Stockport doing well in League One, Wrexham in the Championship, Salford are still flailing. Although they're doing okay this year because they've kept with the manager, who's a very good manager, Carl Robinson. Played with him a long time ago, but he's done well. And they're still not far off the top, and because they've stuck with him and give him time. So he's just an idiot, mate. He's just an idiot.
I think the thing which killed Amorim off for me, of course, calling out the bosses never goes well. But I think the thing which killed
He
him
wasn't
is,
calling him out. He was just telling him to do the job, mate.
yeah, that's true. That's true. I think
That's just facts. Calling them out, they just don't like it. I'll do my job, you do yours.
yeah, it's ego though, isn't it?
He's obviously
It's
been
ego.
promised stuff, hasn't he? He's obviously been promised stuff, not got them promises. Yes, it's probably not a good time to buy in January, but he's getting a lot of stick here. He needs extra help, and he's not got it. And we're not privileged of them conversations, what he'd been promised. But to spend £180 million, what we haven't got in the summer, it's
well, one of the videos I saw yesterday was there were a journalist, I can't forget which one it was now, might have been Jamie Jackson, but I might be wrong. He basically sort of said, or hypothesized that maybe, they tried to sign Semenyo for 65 or whatever it was. When that didn't happen, did he assume that 65 million would then be available to spend on a midfielder or whoever? And then they turned around and said, no, you're not having anything in January, and he's lost his head. That would explain a lot. But for me, mate, I wanted to ask you this sort of couple of questions to finish off. The main one is, I think the thing which killed him off, that's what I was going to say, was that the Everton game, the West Ham game, the Wolves game, because if you win them, you're right up there with Aston Villa and just behind Arsenal and third or whatever.
The Wolves one. Everton would set down to 10 men. He still played 3 at the back. He's got
and the West Ham performance was dreadful as well.
With all these ex-players as well, they grew up with a manager that would take risks. He would throw the dice. He would roll the dice, and he hasn't seemed to have done that. Has he got the players to do that? Possibly.
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
But to keep 3 at the back, you don't need 3 at the back when you've got just one person up there and the opposition is down to 10 men. That is his Achilles. He's not been able to adapt and not being more adventurous. But 6 in the league, 3 behind Liverpool, who have spent 400 million quid after winning the league, on level with Chelsea, who spent £1 billion. So I didn't think they'd sack him. I didn't think we'd end up where we are, like a Chelsea, like all these clubs that sack the manager willy-nilly. They've obviously been called out and they don't like it. Someone who's been called out, we brought in from Southampton, by the way. It's just, and all these people, Goldstein, dickhead, Alex Crook, negative cunt, all these don't help. Supposedly United fans as well, living in London from afar. You probably haven't been to Old Trafford as a paying customer for a long, long time, but have a big influence because they have a good show. Well, that Drive was a really good show. I don't listen to it anymore. Darren Bent's a bit of cunt because United's fucking ruined his football career. Alex Crooks is just a dickhead, and Goldstein needs his head slapping right off because he's an idiot. And I used to like that Drive, I just don't listen to it anymore.
Yeah, that seems to be the common theme, I guess. But would you have sacked him? That was the question I was going to ask you. Would you have sacked him now after he called out his bosses or after he challenged his bosses?
No.
You'd think, why not get him in a room? If you're Jim Ratcliffe...
Why sack him in the middle of the season? The players are obviously behind him.
Yes.
You're 6th in the league. You've got 8 players out. You've just drawn against Leeds, who have not been beat for 7, have just come off a draw at Anfield. Why would you sack him? You only sack him because you don't like what he said to me. It's like they're like fucking
schoolyard, isn't it?
It's like schoolyard shit. Wilcox, if you come to me as a coach and tell me how I should run my formation or how I should play, I tell you to fuck off. When I was managing Salford 16, 17 years ago, you know who's on the same pitch as me? Jason Wilcox, coaching. He's obviously been shit at that. Now he's in a sporting director's position. Gone from City, Southampton, now to Manchester United. The biggest job he could ever get. And he's failing miserably.
They are failing, mate, because they brought in, ultimately, this is what they did. They brought in a manager with a very structured system who was very stubborn about that system and then didn't give him the players to play that system. Now, you can say they've given him, money and players, which I agree with. I think from a personnel point of view, they gave him a good window in the summer. But it's not much good if you don't have the basis of this system.
People really want a Casemiro and Kobe Manu midfield. Me and you could run quicker than them, and I'm 48.
And I got one leg.
They're just not dynamic enough. Yes,
No.
Kobe Manu is a great player. A good player. I've seen him from afar, from a kid. Watched him in the FA Youth Cup final. He played very well against Nottingham Forest, and he's come on to be a good player. But he's not mobile enough, dynamic enough. You need dynamic players, especially next to him. You've got your best player playing in a deep role. It's just not. Because he doesn't trust him. So he can trust Bruno, and that's what. But that's not his.
And Bruno still created the most chances in the league from deep, and that's the other ridiculous thing. But with Maino, I just think
to get rid of him as well.
Yeah, Mainu's got to play in a 3, haven't he? I think is the answer. But
even that in a 3, mate. Yeah, even in a 3, you still need someone next to him.
True. Right. Lastly, then, mate, who's on your list if it was up to you to get someone?
I don't give a shit. I don't trust these people. I don't care. It's just going to be a job
for
just read that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's coming back in.
Yeah, he's thrown his hat in the ring, and he.
It's just I don't. You never know what to read anywhere. So I've just glanced at it and seen it. So I need to see who's written that because most of it's shit. I need to stay off Twitter. The amount of abuse I'm getting, and it's affecting my mental health. You know what I'm like? I'm very easily,
Is 3 for you then, mate? I think Emery would be a good shout if they could somehow get him out of Villa.
But that's not going to happen, mate, because he's manager and he wants to manage the club, and they won't let that happen. So that's not going to happen. Would I leave Villa at the minute when I've got full control? I've got a good team. I'm third in the league. I'm doing really well. To come to that shit show and get told what to do by someone who but just come from Southampton. No.
I like Nagelsmann's good, but he's not available till the summer. Then you've got I think they'll go for, and this is just an opinion. I think they'll go for Thomas Tuchel. I think.
No, there's 2 people. Areola from
De Zerbi.
Bournemouth. Who's the other one?
De Zerbi, I think they might, because they had an interest in him before, didn't they?
Yeah, but he might want to bring Greenwood back. Because he's with Greenwood, isn't he?
Yeah.
But if Rashford comes back, it's over. If Rashford comes back, it's over. Over.
I already seen some people saying they should bring him back.
Oh, my God. Please.
Clean out the dressing room and then you bring them all back.
More players that have got multiple
bring Sancho back as well.
When he puts his tools down and walks about. Got a big club, Barcelona, really. If he performed there, they would keep him. How's that working out? Do you think they'll keep him? 20, 30 million they could get him for?
No, they ain't going to keep him, are they? Let's be honest.
What does that tell you?
Mate, I feel for you. It's an absolute shambles. And as a Cardiff fan, I know exactly what that's like when your club is just...
BBM, he's doing well.
Absolute killing it, mate.
Hey?
Very good manager.
BBM,
they could do a lot worse than him, mate.
Well, I've watched them play, really. They play some nice football.
Yeah, they know what they're doing, mate. And the good thing is, over Christmas period, he rotated a lot because there's so many games, and they all just know their job and they just do it, and it's the same. And I think that goes a long way when you've got a good squad if you can just rotate people out and there's no disruption to it. But where do you think United will finish, mate? Just finishing up on United. Where do you think they will finish? Because what is it? You're 6th now. But then it's interesting. You're 3 points off Liverpool, but you're also, I think, 6 points off relegation as well. So, or 6 points off 15th or something like that. Where do you see this season going now? Because there will be a bounce against Burnley on Wednesday. They'll probably go and beat them comfortably in a 4 at the back and all the rest of it.
Manchester City at home and Arsenal away, mate.
Yeah. It's going to be hard, isn't it?
So I'm between 6th and 8th. That's where we'll finish.
But that was the aim anyway, wasn't it? At the start of the season, was about that.
I don't know what these clowns are thinking, or what the aim is anymore. All I just know is this is making a mockery of one of the biggest clubs in the world, and this Jim Radcliffe is. It's just they'll switch on him now, mate. The Glazers, them, Wilcox, Omer Riza. It's just constant bad decisions. Bad decisions. Every 6 months there's a bad decision. Last 6 months it was Dan Ashworth. Bad decision after bad decision. Firing the tea lady who's been there for 30 years. Just bad decision after bad decision.
Ticket prices.
Manchester United, growing up, was always a family club, even though it was one of the biggest clubs in the world. Always. You knew that. You could walk in, everyone got treated the same. Yeah. Is it like that anymore? I don't know. You heard these no button skulls, they're ringing up. Mr. Can I help you? Don't you know who he is? It's just
sad to see, mate.
Sad, yeah. But
if you remember way back last year when Ratcliffe was linked with buying the club, and I pointed during one of our shows to what he was doing in France, and they had sacked they were sacking the manager every 6 months. They made so many bad transfer decisions. They upped the ticket price. They've done all these different things, and I said, you don't think he's going to do that at United? And in fairness, you thought, well, it's a bigger club. Surely they won't make the same mistakes. But at the moment, it does look like they're making similar mistakes, and they're cutting costs. But there obviously wasn't any money for Rubin Amorim in January. Are they going to give Darren Fletcher money? I can't imagine so.
No.
The other teams around you in the league will all strengthen in January.
It's not a good time. It's not a good time to buy, though, man. The only time that I do remember I was buying, it was one time in January we bought Evra and Vidic in. But if I remember rightly, Evra was terrible for the first few months because he
got taken off in his first game, didn't he? At half time.
Yeah. Vidic again, not great, even though he went on to be one of the best Man United centre halves. It's not a good time to bring players in. So unless the Premiership ready, hence Semenya, someone like that. But you're not going to get someone like that. Bringing in someone from abroad. Sesko, I was critical of him on the weekend. I think he should score that goal from 6 yards, or at least hit the target. But he's done okay of late. His hold up play, and he will get better. Give him time. But did he want him, or did he want a ready-made one like Ollie Watkins? And we'd probably be higher up in the league because he's more experienced, knows the league. But no, the guy from Southampton and the guy from City, Omer Riza, didn't want him. Got 70-odd million Sesko and neglected the midfield and left a Casemiro in there who I'm 48 and I can run quicker.
Well, the midfield and the wing backs are the issue, and then like I said at the start,
Luke Shaw, who's he got sacked? Van Gaal, Mourinho, Ralph Radnich, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now five managers got sacked. So imagine being at a club that you've been there and you've had 5 managers sacked. Great.
A lot of money to be made.
Great. A lot as well. Oh my God.
Yeah, he's been interesting there.
The chest pumper, yeah, great. This is what he's got to work with, and he's got 6, and he's got everyone, got all the shit out, got the baby Garnacho out, got the baby Rashford out, got rid of some of us, and
finally getting somewhere.
And they pulled the plug because he called them out to do the job. Yeah, what a great world we live in.
Yeah. Well, before I was a fan,
mate, even though I do agree that his Achilles heel, his system, not being able to adapt, didn't help him. And these old players in our day, in your day, if Ferguson come now, or these times were in 1986, he would not be there. He would not be there. He finished 14th in his first season. Yes, he finished second in his first season, but then I think he finished 10th and then 13th again. If it wasn't for an FA Cup,
people who wanted him sacked, wouldn't there?
He'd have been gone. So you'd have never heard of Nicky Butt. Well, you probably would have heard of Nicky Butt because he was a very good youth player. You probably would have heard of our kid, but you wouldn't have heard of Scholes. You wouldn't have heard of Neville because they wouldn't have been there. But they did the hard yards. Him and Brian Kidd out there looking for the kids and the club knew what was happening behind the scenes. These idiots don't know nothing.
It's going to be a fascinating end to the season, mate. But before we drive you into a depression straight after Christmas, we'll wrap it up. But mate, thank you as always.
Still poor, mate, with all this abuse I get on Twitter.
Well, that's it. We don't want to make it any worse.
I won't see my doctor after this.
I'm sure you'll find a few reels, mate, over when this comes out later. Rhodri Giggs.
I'm a cook.
Thank you very much, mate.
Yeah, no problems, pal. Speak soon.
Yeah, cheers, buddy.